Imagine stepping out of a spaceship and trying to walk on every planet in our solar system. Sounds exciting, right? Well, the reality would be absolutely terrifying. From crushing pressure and deadly radiation to storms faster than a jet plane, every planet out there has its own brutal way of ending your adventure. So, what would actually happen if you tried landing on each one? Let's find out. Let's start with Mercury, the closest planet to the Sun. Most people assume Mercury is constantly burning hot, but that's not entirely true. In fact, it's one of the most extreme worlds in terms of temperature swings. During the day, the surface can reach a scorching 430 degrees Celsius. But when night falls, temperatures plunge all the way down to minus 180 degrees Celsius. This wild imbalance happens because Mercury has almost no atmosphere. Instead of a thick protective layer like Earth, it only has a very thin exosphere that can't trap heat. Because of this, Mercury gets nearly 7 times more solar radiation than Earth. The planet itself is also covered in craters, cliffs, and rugged terrain, making landing incredibly difficult. And since there's almost no air resistance, slowing down a spacecraft would be extremely challenging, increasing the risk of a high-speed crash. Surviving the daytime would be impossible. Even the latest NASA spacesuits can only handle temperatures up to about 121 degrees Celsius, nowhere close to Mercury's 430 degrees Celsius. But nighttime wouldn't save you either, because those freezing minus 180 degrees Celsius temperatures go far below the suit's limit of about minus 157 degrees Celsius. Your only possible chance would be landing in something called the Terminator Zone, the thin boundary between day and night where temperatures are somewhat moderate. Even there, conditions change quickly, so survival would still be extremely risky. Now, let's travel to Venus, the planet that comes closest to Earth, at around 40 million kilometers away. The journey would take roughly 4 months. Venus is also similar to Earth in size and gravity, which might make it seem like a promising destination at first. But that illusion disappears the moment you approach the planet. Those beautiful yellow clouds surrounding Venus are actually made of sulfuric acid. If you breathe them in, your lungs would be destroyed almost instantly. Let's imagine you had an advanced suit capable of filtering the acid. As you descend through the atmosphere, visibility would quickly drop. The air is incredibly thick and mostly made of carbon dioxide, making the environment extremely dark. In fact, only about 10% of sunlight reaches the surface because the dense atmosphere blocks the rest. Then comes the heat, around 450 degrees Celsius. And as if that wasn't enough, the pressure at the surface is about 92 times stronger than Earth's atmospheric pressure. That's equivalent to being nearly a kilometer underwater in Earth's oceans. Even with a powerful pressurized suit, you might survive only a few seconds before the crushing pressure destroys it. Next up is Mars, the second closest planet to Earth and the most potentially habitable world in our solar system. Compared to Mercury and Venus, conditions here are much less extreme. Daytime temperatures can reach a relatively comfortable 20 degrees Celsius. But Mars still has serious problems. At night, temperatures can drop dramatically, sometimes reaching extremely cold levels. The atmosphere is also incredibly thin and made mostly of carbon dioxide, with only tiny traces of oxygen, far too little to breathe. This thin atmosphere creates another danger: radiation. On Mars, natural radiation levels average between 24 and 30 rads, which is about 40 to 50 times higher than what we experience on Earth. And that's not the only challenge. Mars is famous for its massive dust storms. Some of these storms can cover the entire planet and produce winds reaching speeds of 100 kilometers per hour. Any long-term mission would require fully sealed habitats with strong life support systems. Now let's move to the giant of the solar system, Jupiter. This planet is so enormous that landing on it is practically impossible. One of the biggest dangers comes from its intense radiation. Even at a distance of 300,000 kilometers, the radiation would already be powerful enough to penetrate a normal spacesuit. But imagine you somehow had a suit that could block it. Jupiter's gravity is about 4 times stronger than Earth's, so you'd fall through the atmosphere extremely fast. As you enter the upper clouds, you'd encounter frozen ammonia crystals with temperatures around minus 150 degrees Celsius. The winds here are unbelievably violent, reaching speeds up to 482 kilometers per hour. If you kept falling deeper into the atmosphere, you'd eventually reach the deepest point ever explored by a spacecraft, the level reached by NASA's Galileo probe back in 1995. Below that point, things become darker and more intense. Pressure and temperature increase rapidly. Near Jupiter's center, the pressure could reach around 100 million times Earth's atmospheric pressure. Eventually, the gas transitions into something known as a supercritical fluid, a strange state that behaves like both a liquid and a gas. Deeper still, you'd encounter metallic hydrogen, an extremely dense liquid. And at the very center, temperatures may reach about 24,000 degrees Celsius, which is roughly 4.5 times hotter than the surface of the Sun. Next comes Saturn, the second largest planet in the solar system. Before even entering its atmosphere, you'd first need to avoid crashing into one of its 146 moons. Then there are Saturn's famous rings, made of ice fragments, debris from old moons, comets, and asteroids. If you manage to safely pass through all that, you'd witness something incredible near the equator. Stunning red and purple auroras caused by energetic hydrogen particles in the atmosphere. But beauty comes with danger. Saturn's winds can reach speeds of about 1,800 kilometers per h, are far stronger than the most powerful hurricanes on Earth. Entering from the north wouldn't help either, because there's a gigantic storm there, large enough to fit 2 Earths inside it. As you descend deeper, temperatures initially remain extremely cold, dropping to around minus 250 degrees Celsius. Eventually, they start rising again, reaching about 0 degrees Celsius in the lower layers. But by then, pressure becomes the real threat. If you somehow made it all the way to Saturn's center, you'd find a molten rocky core roughly 10 times the size of Earth, with temperatures around 11,700 degrees Celsius and pressure about 1,000 times greater than Earth's atmosphere. Now we head to Uranus, one of the 2 ice giants. It's also the only planet in the solar system that spins on its side. A day there lasts only about 17 hours. Despite being called an ice giant, Uranus isn't a giant ball of frozen ice. Instead, it's mostly made of heavier elements like oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, and sulfur. After passing its rings, you'd enter a toxic atmosphere where temperatures drop below minus 200 degrees Celsius, making Uranus the coldest planet in the solar system. Descending further would be even worse. The atmosphere becomes dense, and you'd be bombarded by frozen ice particles. Deeper inside, something incredible happens. High pressure causes methane to break apart, creating what scientists believe is literal diamond rain. But that spectacle wouldn't last long, because the pressure there is about 100 times stronger than Earth's atmosphere, enough to crush almost anything. Finally, we reach Neptune, the farthest planet from the Sun. It's about 30 times farther from the Sun than Earth, which means sunlight there is extremely weak, and the environment is very dark. Like Uranus, Neptune is an ice giant and also experiences diamond rain. But Neptune is famous for something else: the most powerful winds in the entire solar system. Some storms here reach supersonic speeds. Despite the freezing outer layers, the planet's core is incredibly hot, around 7,000 degrees Celsius, which is actually hotter than the surface of the Sun. The intense pressure deep inside Neptune is what drives these extreme conditions. So if you ever dreamed of exploring the planets up close, the reality is clear. Every world in our solar system is incredibly hostile in its own way. But that's also what makes space so fascinating. If you enjoyed this journey across the solar system, let us know in the comments which planet surprised you the most. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more incredible space stories, and join our community to suggest what we should explore next.